business. He was the face that gave the staff stability, and I would meet with the staff once a week. So the business could run. They put the second shift in and employed the extra people that we put on to cope with the orders and so forth that were coming in. But it enabled me to really work on the business rather than trying to do a bit of both. And that decision made a big difference. That enabled us to put strategies in place that would enable us to move forward. And I think through all this, myself, I don't like talking about me personally, but it strengthened my ability to deal with any decision or any adverse, any of the adversity that's happening, because I realised very quickly that you just need to stand up and take ownership. And those words that you said in your opening speech there of taking ownership and responsibility and so forth just make you a different person. And I feel today that I can basically deal with anything, whereas before perhaps I thought my customers were up here and I was down here just because of the dollars difference between us. But really, there's an MD there and there's an MD here. You just got to bring the two MDs together and you talk. And that was the strategies that we used, that everything we did was top to top. It wasn't Little Spring Gully and whoever, it was just two MDs, and then we would talk. And through discussion and through good business strategies, then the two MDs could make decisions. Point in fact, we went to Coles head office, we met there with the guys there, and in 24 minutes we had decisions made that would help Spring Gully move forward over the next 2 years. Now that probably wouldn't have happened if I had to go stepping all my way up, if I took my old strategies of where I thought I was and where I thought Spring Gully was. But at the end of the day, a customer and a supplier can talk at any level. And that's made a big difference to the way I do business today.
Excellent. This one here is the last question of the morning, and we'll have a couple in the audience as well. Knowing what you know now, how would you do things differently? How do you advise others to run their business to prevent these sort of things occurring? Because now you've gone through it, you've experienced it, and you now can teach. So what would you advise people?
Obviously, you don't want to get into these situations. So I think looking at what happened, we took the wrong opinion of ourselves, and we didn't understand that we could say no to a customer. As we all know, the customer's always right. That's what we've all been told. The customer's always right. And yes, the customer is always right. But when you're dealing with customers of the size of ours, you have to understand, which we didn't, which we do now, that you can still negotiate well. That you don't have to be a yes person. You don't have to say yes all the time. Because by saying yes all the time to something that you think is so far above you, it causes adversity. And you're not taking control, you're not taking ownership, because you're thinking whatever they want, they'll get, regardless of what I say. I'm only a minnow in their pond. But a minnow can grow and become a fish of substance. And by working with these clients of ours, our customers, and working with them with good business sense, then a real relationship can be formed and you can move forward. And I think just by taking ownership and gaining strength, using whatever methods for person that you need, whether it's your faith, I use my faith a lot, and all the support around you, that you can move forward and become a very good business person by utilising this and understanding the strengths that you have inside that perhaps you don't realise you have. And in my case, adversity perhaps brought those to a head.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure we've all experienced some adversities, but if we look back, they were blessings in disguise. A lot of times we have these adversities personally, professionally, and when we get through it, it's the most incredible thing. That's when you grow. You don't grow when you're comfortable. You don't grow when things are going great. You can celebrate when things are going great, but you don't grow. It's when things get tough that you dig deep inside and you experience the growth. And so I suppose the name of the game is to know that life will thrust these things upon you. How do we protect ourselves from getting too big a thrust and too big challenges? So, is there any questions in the audience? We've got a little bit of time to have some questions. Is anyone out there? Yes. Just state your first name and your question.
Yeah, Robert.
Robert?
I work with Australian Life. Robert, I work with Australian Industry Group. I just wanted to ask, it always seems to me that the squeeze on small business by big retailers has been that they've really cut out their ability to speak to their customers anymore through branding and advertising and other activities. You had a real ride, I suppose, in the media, which re-established your relationship with your customers and potential customers. But once that's finished, what are your strategies to actually maintain that relationship with your customers?
Yeah, thanks, Robert. It's a great question. Our business realised and identified deficiencies that it had. One of those was marketing. As we know, Spring Gully wasn't in the media all the time prior to this event. We were thrust into the media, and we now have a strategy in place where we put an advisory board together, and part of that strategy and one of those members is a marketing person. Now, they haven't joined us yet because the board officially starts in July. But it is all about understanding, our strategy understands the importance of social media, PR and marketing. Unfortunately for a lot of us dealing with the customers that I deal with, there's not a lot of marketing money left because the margins are reflected in what they need to do their marketing, and I think most of us in the room would understand their needs. But we can still do it smart, and we have a program that will roll out from May to keep ourselves in the media. You have a good relationship with a PR company. You can get a lot of PR for free because the papers and the news and the media here in South Australia are very interested in South Australian businesses and what we can do and what we can achieve. So you'll see that there will be a rollout. We do have a label change coming up, so our strategy starts with the label change and starts communicating the events out over the next year with that as the catalyst. And we have also attached to our business a marketing business. In fact, KWP have been put attached to the business just of late. And we'll be working now to do affordable smart marketing for a business our size that is dealing with Coles, Woolworths and Aldi and so forth. It's just a matter of keeping yourself in front of the consumers all the time. We run a social media campaign continually now. This month we've hooked up with another great South Australian company, Robo Men's, with fruit chops. The food industry, driven here by Food SA, is fantastic. We have a brilliant peak body in Food SA, and Robo Men's and ourselves teamed up for a month. But overall, you can reach so many people through social media. We put one post up for Australia Day. We reached 80,000 people with that one post. It was just a competition basket for Australia Day. 80,000 people. We couldn't get to that many people prior to social media event and prior to having 17,000 likes, of which we want to grow. So it's looking at the size of your business, what you can understand, what you can afford, and how you can work with your customers to keep yourself in their stores, but have this extra marketing through social media, PR, going at the same time.
Yes. First name?
Hi, my name is Laurel. Very inspired by what you're sharing. Thank you very much. 100% agree what you're saying about social media. I founded a not-for-profit organisation called Women Inspire, which is about promoting small business, particularly women, but extended across, and charities across South Australia for free and affordable prices, free basically. Have you thought of, or have you started working together with smaller organisations that can actually get your name out there in the community, even more so in terms of that branding and strengthening? I actually call it respect by association. Something that I've got to IP. But yeah, so what I found is that when we align what we're doing with organisations such as yourself and other organisations that are iconically South Australia, there is just so much strength in it.
No, I certainly agree. We historically, before social media came to be, Spring Gully, as you know, 70 years old almost, we always used a traditional way, which was supporting the community, and part of it, I think, what came back to us was the support through the way that our family was out there in the community. It's been every school quiz night has Spring Gully Basket, or we support the JAG, netball and football and so forth. So we come from an environment of association, but the old method. We haven't transferred it over yet to association through social media, but as our strategies develop and we understand it better, then what we used to do, we still keep doing because we love working with schools and so forth. But we will move that into the new modern era now that we understand social media a lot better. Because, as I said, you can associate with different community-based people, and by getting that, getting the community understanding that you are community-oriented makes a big difference for the way they treat your product when they go and have their 30 seconds or 10 seconds to buy a product on that shelf. So it's very important that that sort of association does happen. Thanks, Don.
Yes. Con?
Good morning, everyone. Kevin, congratulations to you and your family and your support group. I was inspired when I was seeing all the ups and downs that you were going through, but you never gave up, and I congratulate you for you. But the area that I'm interested in is, you said there's an MD for the suppliers and producers and an MD for the customers, and they were different levels. You're talking about personalities, egos, all these sorts of things that you have to get through. Is that what you're referring to?
I think what I'm referring to is that, in my mind, the MD of Coles was so far above me that I could never actually get to meet him. I didn't know him. So it was more about me belittling myself, perhaps, that I couldn't deal with that end of town. Even though we're in Melbourne, Sydney all the time, dealing with Coles and Woolies and so forth, and Metcash. But through this process, I realised very quickly that we're all just human beings, and we have different titles, but it doesn't stop you from talking to anybody at any level. I was talking to ministers and premiers and so forth, which I wouldn't have done prior to this event. That's probably my own personal problem or fault.
Because you had a blockage, or you perceived it was too many blockers in the way, or whatever. Yeah.
But when adversity hits, then you do rise up, and the first point of call was to a minister, not because I wanted money. I was going through a process of getting investors into our business. We thought part of our strategy in that 4 weeks was to get an investor in. Therefore, if we changed the business, I was going to be up for $400,000 stamp duty bill. Our business was in VA, couldn't afford that, so I just went to the minister and said, if we get this investment in, could I have a holiday on the stamp duty? And through that meeting, the end result was that they put consultants into our business, cost $80,000, and we've got a government grant for $576,000, which we're very grateful for because it's a 100% grant. But if you feel that you can't go and meet that person, then you would not get the result that perhaps we got, or you could get by just saying, well, I have to go meet that person, and I have to go discuss, and I have to have a strategy in place when I go to that table to say, this is where we are, this is what we need, how can we help? And that's what I did.
So, in conclusion, you adopted the attitude, whatever it takes, I'm going to do.
Absolutely.
Congratulations again.
Also, what you discovered you had was leverage, because here we have this big Goliath, and you're the David with a slingshot, and you found that the media and the support of the community was your slingshot, and now you can get up to that level where you can talk one-on-one and come to some rational business win-wins. So
I think
that's the way I saw it happen.
Absolutely,
yeah.
that was a catalyst for giving me the strength too, because not that I ever used the media at all with any discussions that we had, but the media was always there, so whoever we were dealing with knew that if there was an adverse decision made, that potentially they could have an adverse reaction to their business. And our customers, any customer, anybody doesn't like to have adverse publicity. So it was very important, and having Nick Xenophon on the team when we went to the retailer negotiations, which was again a strategy we decided very early on that as we saw that light glimmering at the end of the tunnel, we had to look at the business after. maybe we will get this business back. What's going to happen after? So during that 3 months of VA, even though you were seeing probably be in the media a lot and doing interviews and so forth, we're actually working on business life after VA in the hope that we would get the business back. And I knew that for that point after that we couldn't do business the way we were doing it. So Nick Xenophon just rang me up and said, how can I help? And I had to think about that, and I said, and that was what I said to Nick, what I need is top-to-top meetings done now. I can't wait, I've got to get to the top of Coles, Woolies and so forth. And that was his role in getting that to happen. And have I got time for a little story?
Yeah, go for it. Go.
Nick hates spending taxpayers' money, as you probably all know through knowing him. So I had no ability to raise money at all. I didn't have a credit card, the bank had taken all those from us. So he said, look, I'll arrange the flights, but you have to fly cheap. I said, I don't care, I never fly the front of the airplane, I always fly the cheapest flight of the day. He said, don't mind. I said, no, I don't mind. So he said, okay, we've got to go to Melbourne, we've got to go the night before, so the cheapest flight I've got is about $39 from Tiger Airways. I said, that's great, Nick, but I really want to get there. He said, don't worry, Kev, I know all the pilots will be fine. They promised me that the plane will leave on time and we'll get there and we'll be at the meeting. I said, okay, Nick, whatever. I'm in the position where I've just got to get there. We've got to get, Austin's going to be coming in from Sydney and we've just got to make this happen. So, okay, where should we meet? He said, oh, Kev, we'll just meet at the Tiger Lounge. I said, okay. I went quiet for a second. He said, what's wrong? I said, I know where the Qantas Lounge is. I know where Virgin Lounge is. I've never seen Tiger Lounge. Where's Tiger Lounge? It's Hungry Jack's. What's wrong with you? so we met at Hungry Jack's at the airport, and that was the Tiger Lounge. So there was some great moments through it all, even though emotionally, I was probably fairly compromised. But there were some great things. As I said to colleague over there at breakfast, even though it was so emotional for our family and for what we were going through and for the people that were helping us, there was some exciting business behind what was going on. And I think when I look back now, if I remove the emotion and I take away the VA name of what it was, the business side of the transactions and the dealings that we did through that period were probably some of the most exciting stuff I've done at a different level than what I've ever done before. And I found that itself probably inspiring as well, even though the emotion was all around it. And you go home and I had some tears, of course, and outpourings, but the family behind us just stood up and made it happen because from my point of view, I held that position that I thought the family were relying on me, but really we were relying on ourselves as a group and as a team. But just I thought I was the one, if I let the family down, then the family's gone, and I didn't want that to happen as well. So there was some good stuff through it all as well.
It reminds me of Richard Branson. He always says the best decision he's ever made is his back's against the wall, and he's got no choice. He's just got to make it happen. And it's very inspiring that we have that capacity inside us. We'll take one more question. One more question? Yes.
Morning, Kevin. Michael. Really appreciate what you've said. It's very, very encouraging and challenging, I think, for all of us. You mentioned a couple of things. You just came back to family just now, and also faith. And you haven't opened that up, but I wonder whether you might speak a little more to those two factors and how they played through the game, and how it might have ended without those.
Yeah, thanks. Well, that's a very good question. I tend to keep most of that to myself. I always have in my own life, but I have my own spiritual belief, and I use that every day through that period. And I was brought up that way, and my parents believed and had faith. So I think we all use our faith or our beliefs or whatever we believe we are spiritually or within our soul in our own personal way, and we all do it differently. So the way I did it, again, was a personal thing for me, but I certainly leaned on my faith through that period. My family, my wife, my son, my daughter, my brother, my sister-in-law, my nieces, my dad, the McMillan family who we are together. It was an incredible process to see our family rise as well. I remember there's several mornings I just felt I couldn't get into the car, and I'd walk down to the steps down to the garage, and I'd turn around and come back. And one morning I did have tears as I did that. I just thought I couldn't do this next radio interview. I'd just done 3 or whatever, and I just felt today I just couldn't do it. And I'd look at my wife, and she would just give me that smile and just say, "You can do it." And she'd give me the hug, and just that extra little bit of belief in yourself, and that family around us, especially probably in a sense where we are a family business, so we are together continually, just made that little bit of extra inspiration that I needed to get in that car, get down to the office and do what I had to do. The biggest threat for me personally, and I did collapse one day. I was taken away by an ambulance. Excuse me. The biggest threat for me was that even though we appointed an administrator and our family understood that, the bank, being a secured creditor, could put their own receiver in at any point in time from the point we made that decision. So when I woke up on the 12th of April, the Friday, I could have got a call from Westpac saying that our receiver will be in your office at 7:30, and that would negate Austin Taylor being there because they would be over the top. But Westpac, I have the utmost respect for Mike Churchill and those people and Rob Jano. They stood firm by us through that whole period. But every day on a personal matter, I always have the thought when I wake up, am I going to get the phone call from Mike today? Because that would change everything that we were doing. It would negate the whole story, and I would have lost the business, because if they put a receiver in, that would have been fine. So personally, I just used my faith and my family and my inner strengths to get through and keep rising to the challenge every day, to try and inspire our staff that everything will be okay, to communicate to them as best we could. We even had a weekly meeting with the administrator at the lunchroom, so that again they could see his face, not just see him on TV, and know that he's a real person, and they could talk to him and ask him questions just like MD to MD or brother to brother or sister to brother or whatever. It's just trying to open up the communication process and utilise everything that you can to get through this sort of thing.
So how's the future looking at, Kevin?
Yeah, well, it's a new business on the 1st of July.
Yeah.
No bank account, no creditors, no debtors. I had a balance sheet that came through, which was pretty weak. So it was, we had a great strategy put in place for the next 3 years, and the people of South Australia and Australia kept buying the Spring Gully brand. It's been flying along.
Sales are good?
Sales have been fantastic.
Excellent.
We're double-digit growth through Metcash, and Coles and Woolies are doing extremely well. We do have one change to our model this year, which is the drought has affected the honey, and that's really changed our business model. So we've had to redo the whole model for the next 18 months because there's just no honey being produced in Australia, and we will see the honey will slowly dry out of the supermarket shelves. So that's changed it because honey is about $10 million revenue for us. So take that out, it's a big hit to our business, which we don't need after VA, but business makes changes, and you have to move around and find the door that fits around the brick wall. Away you go.
Excellent. Well, thank you again, Kevin, for coming this morning. And Natasha would like to present with you something to thank you from us all. Can I ask Stories of Australia? Excellent. Can we put your hands together for Kevin? Thanks, Kevin. Excellent. Wonderful. Everyone enjoy that? Yeah. Good, eh? Fantastic. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for sharing a lot of your personal stuff too. It's been sometimes when we share our personal stuff, we inspire others. So, ladies and gentlemen, I just, before I finish off the morning, who's in business or who's in a leadership or management position in business here? Right, so we've got a big chunk of the room. Fantastic. I first got back into business in 1991, and I got in with the intention of making more money, having more time, and having greater freedom. Boy, did I get that wrong. So I remember having a holiday once a year, many years ago now. Once a year I'd have this holiday and I'd go away and feel inspired. I remember one holiday before we had kids, and we'd be driving back along the Great Ocean Road. My wife had a little white Mazda 323, and she'd be driving and I'd be sitting in the passenger seat reading, and the mountains. I don't know if you've been along Great Ocean Road, but there's like beautiful mountains and greenery and blue skies. And I was reading this book, The Magic of Thinking Big, by David Schwartz. And I was mesmerised with it. I was reading everything, I was underlining, I was just engrossed in it. And I thought, this is incredible. And it had all sorts of stories of success. And so I thought to myself, when I get back, I set myself all these goals. I'm going to get back, I'm going to do all these things. And when I got back, within about 2 weeks, my inspiration had dropped, I was back in the rut, and I was working hard, and then there goes another year. And I realised that this pattern kept going on for a number of years. And I read many, other books, inspirational books and motivational books, etc. And I began to realise that, I know this, and I know what to do. But even though I knew what to do, I wasn't doing what I knew. And that's a very, very key distinction that I discovered. And it went on for a number of years because I didn't understand the importance of surrounding myself, as Kevin said, with the right people to have the right environment. So anyway, while I was working hard, there was never enough time. There was always customer issues, there was always competition issues, there was always things that were always going wrong, and I'm engrossed in the business, running the business, and getting stressed. And so I began to notice that after 10 years, I began to notice that I hadn't grown in a 10-year stretch. I'd grown in a 1-year stretch 10 times. I don't know if that makes sense. You grow 1 year, but you repeat it for 10 times. And so even though 10 years had gone by, I was actually stagnant. And I thought to myself, there's got to be a way to make every year a growthful year. And I know that there's probably many of us here today thinking, I've lived the same year 10 times the last 10 years. Or right now, I'm in a stuck position. But what shifted me was a couple of wisdoms. And the wisdoms were, if it's to be, it's up to me. Right? That's the first one that came to mind. If it's to be, it's up to me. And the other wisdom that came, which I learned from Jim Rohn, was, for things to change, I must change. Right? Because my life wasn't changing. For things to change, I must change. Now, what's interesting is most people fear change. It's a natural human thing. We want to stay comfortable. This is safe here. And so to be able to change, we need to be in an environment of change where change is enjoyable. Because there's some environments where change is enjoyable, and then other environments where change is fearful. And so this is where I kept exposing myself to different environments. I kept going to seminars, kept going to all sorts of different membership organisations. So the issues that were holding me back were not really the issues, they were symptoms. The symptoms that I wasn't in an environment of change. And there was another wisdom which I heard, and they said, inspiration is like a shower. You don't have a shower once a year. You have a regular shower. Now, I happen to shower twice a day, but that's a separate shower. So I'm talking about inspirational showers. You need to have a program to continually inspire yourself. Now, whether that program it's got to be a combination of reading books, attending immersion programs, and so forth. Now, I'd like us all to continue this journey together. Everyone enjoyed this morning? Yeah? Yep. I'd like us to continue this journey together. Continue to take our business, our career, our personal lives to higher and higher levels. And the way I believe is constant exposure to incredible guests like Kevin, and to being in an environment where people want to grow and want to change. So I invite you to join in this constant re-immersion. And Breakfast at the Next Level is, I believe, one of those programs that allows you to change in an environment where change is the norm, is a positive thing. We've had amazing guests already this year, apart from Kevin this morning. We've had, I remember Adrian Gearing was here in February. And wow, I mean, life planning and goal setting. Adrian's mentored leading CEOs, not only in this state, but around Australia. He's spent thousands of hours mentoring leaders. Last month we had Peter Kalizos, who's the property professor, and inspired us on the residential property forecast for the year. Past guests we've had, one that comes to mind was Tommy Hafey. I don't know if you remember Tommy Hafey, 82-year-old guy. 250 push-ups a day, 700 sit-ups a day, runs 7Ks every morning, goes for a swim every morning. This guy's 82. And if you see him from behind, and without his, they call him T-shirt Tommy, if he's wearing a T-shirt or no T-shirt, is this incredible figure that every man would be amazed. So we've had amazing guests. Now last night, I just came back from the UK. I had a goal to go and see Liverpool play, and I had this hunch that they are going to go towards the top. So I was there, and I was there on a Sunday in Anfield Stadium with 47,000 people with red fans. I still have my red gloves here, Liverpool gloves, because it gets cold in England. It's not as warm as here. So I have my gloves and my beanie and all that sort of stuff, and my scarf, and I saw Liverpool beat Tottenham Hotspur 4-0, and it was an absolute thumping, right? It should have been 8. And people were asking us, how long are you down for? And then just a few days, 3 nights, want to see the top game. And they go, you came all the way from Australia, like 24 hours, to come in and see a game. And then, yeah, what's wrong with that? He goes, wow, that's incredible. And of course, we went and saw the Beatles Museum, of course, as well, and we went to the Cavern Club, which is like where the Beatles first played, down into this cave, and had a blast there with Peter. Peter had a blast there, mate. Yeah, it was good. And so it was great fun. However, to get to that point of great acceleration, there was adversity. As I was on the plane, I had a family member who was admitted to hospital, and so I had to deal with that. Deal with adversity, and through the friendships here and support that I was able to get through it all. So from adversity to incredible opportunity happened to me this last weekend. So, but if going to England, and I love Liverpool, I'm going again, mate. I am going again. I'm going to go again. I'm going to go see Liverpool play and a Champions game, the European Champions, and I might even go and see Man U play at Old Trafford. So if soccer's not your thing, perhaps zipping into Paris is, right? That'd be great. Zip out for a few days, go for a walk in the Parisian streets, go into Patisserie, go and do some fashion shopping, go to the Louvre, go to the Eiffel Tower. You see, this is how I'd like to encourage us all to think. I want us all to think big, because if you don't think big, you'll never get there, right? Your thoughts will take you in the direction that you're thinking. Now, the way to keep thinking big is keep immersing yourself in environments where that's normal, okay? And so we've got a number of great guests this year coming up that are going to blow you away. And the $48, I'd like to believe, and I do believe, is great value, yeah? You get to hear an incredible guest, you get a great breakfast, you get to meet amazing people in the audience. And I'm very passionate about getting more people to our breakfast. Now, in front of you there's a form. I'd just like to go through it if I may. If I may have your attention. There's a very simple form, and that is this one here. And for those of you that want to save time, you can start filling it in now. If you come to every breakfast a year, $48 a breakfast, 11 breakfasts is $539. Now, what we want to do this year is encourage a membership program, which means you get the whole 11 months, and it's a rolling calendar year. You get the next 11 for $398, which means you save $130. And if you can't come, and some people couldn't come this morning, they transferred it. They let a manager, a friend, a team member come along. Now, the contents, as Manuel said, is so good. We're producing a video, and within a few days after breakfast, you get to see the video. Like today with Kevin, we'll have a video within a few days, and you'll be able to see it again. You'll be able to listen to it, pick up things that you may not have picked up this morning, and that will help take your knowledge to another level. If you're like me and you like to, I like writing and I like notes, you get a transcript as well, which means you get a transcription of the morning, and you can underline and write notes and keep that as your notes of the morning. Now, one of the benefits of being a member is you can bring a friend, okay? We've had a few people here that have been invited by friends. Bring a friend for free. bring somebody totally new to Soul Results that we haven't met before. You bring them, it's free. So it's like you shouting in breakfast. But here's the benefit. It's not just bringing them to a breakfast. You bring them to an environment where they can get inspired and change their life and change their business, right? You bring them into an environment. What you're creating is the ripple effect. What actually happens when you throw a stone in the water? It creates a little ripple, doesn't it? And it just keeps going. So you can create a ripple effect in your community, in your environment, by exposing them to personal and professional development. And they also get a hard copy of my second most favourite book, As a Man Thinketh. Now, if anyone here is new, on your way out, please collect the book, As a Man Thinketh. It's one of the most profound books you'll ever read on how to take your life to another level. And it'll take you about an hour to read. And I remember one of my mentors years ago, Bob Proctor, said to me, he goes, read this book every day. I've been reading it for 40 years. Every time I read it, it changes my life. So rather than be the old me that went through the same year 10 years, become the new you, where you can create your life because you're a co-creator. You have the ability to manufacture thought and to bring that thought into reality, but being inspired about something in the future. And as Manuel said earlier, we've got an executive coaching session for 30 minutes on the phone for you for members, which means you get on the phone with the coach asks you a series of questions, right? Challenges you, helps you set some goals and holds you accountable. You know, I've had a coach now for 14 years, and there is no way I could have achieved what I've achieved without having coaches. You know, myself and Peter, we run 36 businesses around the country, all of them multi-million-dollar businesses, and we couldn't have done that without having people to challenge us, to get us to think differently. Because the bigger you get, the bigger are your problems, and so the bigger you need to get inside to solve those issues and to rise above them, ready for the next challenge. So the whole program, when you analyse it objectively, is worth $1,532. And so, fill in your form, take it to the back of the room, hand it in to one of the ladies, and we'll see you next Wednesday, the 7th of May, where we're going to interview Bob Beaumont, the owner of Beaumont Tiles. Just a quick picture about Bob. I've known Bob for a number of years. He's an amazing man. He's a genuine, great human being, but a great businessman as well. And he's developed over nearly 100 outlets around the country, and he has 70 shipping containers of tiles every week. Can you imagine that? 70 shipping containers every week. Amazing. Anyway, you're going to learn from Bob a lot of things about culture, innovation, ethics, and enjoying work. And so thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I encourage you to go to the back of the room and sign up. And also, Kevin will be there at the back. If you have any more questions from Kevin, he'll be here till about 9 a.m. and he'll be happy to answer them for you. So I wish you all a wonderful month, and stay inspired and keep having showers. Okay, take the time now to jot down those 3 points in your diary, schedule it, take action, and make it real. If you've been given this video from a friend, I encourage you to get on our website and check out Breakfast at the Next Level subscription. You'll get all sorts of resources like this video, a transcription, and many other resources. I look forward to having breakfast with you next month at Breakfast at the Next Level.